I know we fell short of the goal, right? But 2 straight trips to the semifinals, you're right there to get to a national championship. When you remove yourself from the season a bit more, it has to feel like an extremely huge accomplishment, right? Like for me, it does 100%. It still stings, I'm sure.
It totally stings. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
I had to go in my cubby hole there for a couple of days. But sometimes I reflect not only on this year, but I reflect on kind of the 4-year journey to get to that point.
Yeah.
Because I think back to 5 and 7. I think back to no players drafted at the end of that year.
It's not like you started on third base.
No. Yeah, no. We had to bunt. We had to get guys on base. We had to do all sorts of things.
Yes.
To get to 8 and 5 in year 2 and keep grinding away, and then in year 3 to win the Big 12 in our final year, which was a huge deal for us, right? Because we hadn't won it since you.
Yeah.
So you think about that for a second. So that was the 2023 season. It's been 14 years.
Yeah.
And then so to win the Big 12, get to the college football playoff and be 1 play away from the national championship game, go into Alabama and beat Alabama on the road for only time ever Nick Saban got beat at home by double digits. Like,
crazy.
There's really cool things that happen. Like I have to kind of reflect a little bit. And then going into this last year, like there was so much concern. We had just had 11 guys drafted. And it was like, how are you going to replace Byron Murphy? How are you going to replace Tavondre Sweat? How are you going to replace Jordan Whittington? How are you going to replace Xavier Worthy? How are you going to replace AD? What do you got? Texas is they're going into the SEC. They're not going to be ready for this and all the things. And next thing you know, we're in overtime in the SEC championship game. We're number 1 team in the country for a few weeks there in the middle of the season. We go back to the college football playoff. We're in the semifinals. We're a play away from going to the national championship again. Yeah. The season ends. We just sent 14 guys to the NFL Combine, and I'm hearing the same stuff. Like, they're not going to be able to do it again. How are they going to replace all these guys? But that to me, we were just talking about this offline. It's like we built a program here that year in and year out, I think can withstand. Now, granted, we've signed some really good players. We just signed the number 1 class in the country, and there's an influx of these young players. We don't live in the transfer portal, but we utilize it. We've signed 5 guys in the portal. We're getting coaching turnover now more than ever because of attrition, and guys are getting great opportunities. Yeah. But I get to bring in really good coaches too, some young, some old. I got Dwayne Akina back on board. Yeah, he's awesome, man. So it's like, I really feel like this is exactly where we're supposed to be. I didn't know how many years it would take. To where every time people are talking about who potentially might win the national championship, our names, if not, we're at the top of the list. We're 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And I don't think we're going anywhere. It's kind of like we've built this thing the right way, and now I don't want to just sustain it. I want to keep finding ways to keep getting better.
How is the feeling inside or around the program? I'm not talking about out here. I'm saying inside with the players.
We're in Moncrief
having the successes you've had the last couple of years. Like, I got to feel like the guys who didn't play a bunch are chomping at the bit to get out there. We may not even know who the guys are that are going to step up and play, but I've told us a couple of people that there's nobody better in the country that recruits and retains talent and builds a program the way that you're doing it now versus the way everyone else is doing it.
Yeah,
right? You're still able to go target guys, and a lot of those guys, honestly, are going to have to step up and play. And so I would think the successes of the last couple of years, everybody's bought in.
Yeah, I think we didn't want to be a one-hit wonder team. And, I monitor it all, and I see guys go out and sign 18, 20, 24 transfers, and it's kind of like, that might work, it might not. But then if you're going to have to try to do it again and again, and that's really hard to do, where we try to believe in bringing guys in as freshmen and build them up in our culture and develop them. And then where you have those voids, kind of find your transfers, along the way. But, it's interesting. I was talking to the staff about this today. Like, everybody has to be better this year than they were last year.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think about it that way, right, think about the true freshman who redshirted, who was on scout team, who played with great effort, but yet had MAs and didn't know the system. Well, now those MAs, we're not going to tolerate.
That's right.
Because we're going to need him on Saturday. And the guy that was the special teams player that was maybe a second stringer that got 10 snaps on defense, well, now I need him to play 30 snaps.
Yep.
And the guy that was playing 30, now I need to play 45, and I need to be a leader in that locker room.
Yeah.
And so everybody has to kind of make those necessary jumps in their journey. And the coaches do too, right? I mean, we have to adapt. We have to evolve. We can't just rinse and repeat this thing and expect it to go. We've got a whole new team. Just right now in spring alone, I have 22 kids that should still be in high school that are enrolled on our campus, freshmen.
That's crazy.
And 5 transfers. So that's 27 new faces. But I'd much rather have them now than in June. And so the process is underway, right? Every team takes on a personality of its own. Leadership changes. Different voices start to arise in the locker room. And some guys leave, and now the next guys step in. And so that's the beauty of college football. You know, very different from the NFL that way, in that we have looking and staring at these guys, okay, and finding the right pieces to the puzzle, staffing wise.
Sure.
You know, Aquino was very strategically brought back. When we lost Gideon and Joseph, I said I needed a veteran coach to go along with Mark Orfe, who's a really good young DB coach, but I needed a veteran voice back there. Same with Chad Scott on the offense side of the ball and recruitability. Where do they recruit? Well, there's so many pieces to this thing. But in the end, like, I wouldn't trade us for anybody. Yeah. Like, I love where we're at as a program. The support we're getting from administration, from CDC and you know, Chairman Eltife, the ability that we've expanded our recruiting department in that aspect. We're building a new indoor. We're going to get out of the bubble at some point.
I just drove by that the other day. That is going to be incredible.
So, like, the support's incredible from administration. I think we've assembled, like I said, a great staff, a great roster. And I don't know if, you know, probably since you were playing, I don't know if Longhorn Nation has been more connected on supporting the program and what we're trying to do. Ticket sales, season ticket sales are the highest they've been in maybe ever. I think we're up to like 78,000 season ticket holders, which is crazy. You know, one of the cooler moments last season when we beat Clemson in the first round of the playoffs, to sing The Eyes of Texas to a capacity crowd at DKR was pretty incredible. That was the first time that's happened since I've been here. I was like, this is pretty awesome, man. Yeah. Like, everybody's on board, and we're going to kick in the door here, hopefully sooner rather than later, man.
You're knocking on the door.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.